And a huge shout out to Chilled LED. These guys have got some of the greatest American-made products on the market today. Whether you're a commercial grower or a home grower, Chilled has got you covered. From big lights to little lights, you can even check out their ROI calculator. If you're one of the few people who have yet to switch from an HPS light to an LED, well, you can calculate your money and energy saved by switching to Chilled LED. But if you use promo code TheStash15, you're going to save a few dollars off at checkout and thank them for being a sponsor of today's video. Thank you, Chill LED.
This episode is brought to you by AC Infinity. The Ion Beam Kit is AC Infinity's full spectrum LED bar lighting. This kit includes a lighting controller, 4 LED grow light bars, and 4 steel bars that allow for flexible mounting on any part of the grow tent. Its unibody housing and aluminum board feature full spectrum Samsung LM301H white LEDs. And the beauty of it is you can integrate this with all of the AC Infinity products in your garden. And if for some reason you don't already have the Controller 6.9 Pro, well, this kit includes an innovative controller that features 4 brightness intensity levels and 4 daily timer settings. This LED is not only efficient, but very affordable, especially when using that discount code TheStash15 at checkout.
So we should probably get into the topic today, huh?
Do it.
We've
been talking the whole day.
Kind of into it, but what are we talking about? What is this? What's going on, Christopher?
Q&A. Let's answer some questions. This has actually been really, really popular on YouTube. We get every time we post a Q&A, and we've been doing them more and more frequently. It's because you guys have been requesting them. I mean, every single time we post one, there's just so many positive comments. People asking questions there. By the way, if you're tuning in on YouTube, head on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/FromTheStash. This is where we do the Q&As live. That's where you can ask the questions live and get your answers right away. We typically, if you're asking questions within the comment section, sometimes they can get ignored depending on if we have time or not to answer them. But come on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/FromTheStash, and yeah, we'll answer the questions here live. But yeah, let's get into questions. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I totally agree with you. This is always requested because no matter what the conversation is that we're talking about, we're often looking at the comments, and there's a question that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. And it's like we see it and it's there, but it's tough to answer it when we're on a topic that's just slightly off topic of the question at hand. So here it is. Off everything, nothing's off the table when it comes to garden, nudes, culture, science, health, you name it. Bring it on. And of course, anything that's going on in our own personal channels, because Chris is not wrong. It is very easy to overseek or overlook comments because it's a lot of comment sections between the three of us. So we do have some already established, or not pre-established, some from the comment sections of the videos on YouTube so that we can get to those ones. But as soon as we started the show off, oh, good heavens, I'm going to scroll up to see who it was that asked it. Yeah, it was in regards to it was in regards to hypermesis syndrome, CHS, and it's a legitimate question, and I think there's a legitimate conversation to have. Please forgive me that I'm slightly distracted, still looking in the comments to see if I can find that particular one, but I can't.
I think it's I am Jazz.
It was I am Jazz. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for the question. Hypermesis syndrome. I think the question is a bit loaded. Is there such thing as CHS? Well, I believe there's such thing as a term, hypermesis syndrome, and I believe that it is a symptom, or at least the name for something that's caused, that's somewhat related to our beautiful plant. But the oversight is that its cause comes from primarily an intoxication or an overdose of neem oil or pesticides in general that come in contact with our plant during the growth stages that people end up ingesting and then having a negative effect. Therefore, proponents that are say against our plant are quick to use this as a way of saying, look, this plant isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There's something that is very negative about it. But the reality is correlation doesn't mean causation. Just because people are getting sick from ingesting this plant doesn't mean it's the plant that's making you sick. So there's a big misconception there in terms of, is it the plant that's causing the sickness, or is it an overdose or an ingestion of pesticides that's causing this sickness? I believe in the latter. So I hope that kind of answers that as long-winded as possible.
I did see a question talking about something along the lines of scammers in the comment section. That's something I think we should address real quick.
We've never talked about that. That's a new thing. That's never been talked about ever in the history of any of our channels or the show ever.
No, this is something that's been happening for many years now. And unfortunately, there are impersonators, scammers. So there's people who will create fake accounts that appear to be either me or Pigeons or From the Stash or Rob. And they will reply to people's comments in our videos and then say they have a gift for you. Contact me through Telegram, or you want a prize, contact me through WhatsApp. All of that stuff is a scam. We'll never contact you guys through the comment section and say, hey, reach out to me, you won something. Or I'm going to send you a grow light, just pay for shipping. All those things are scams. They're just trying. And the other one is on Instagram, seeds. So people saying my breed of seeds is available. Pay me for it. And then like none of that stuff we do. So just keep an eye out for that. There's been quite a few people who have been scammed in the past. I know just today I had to clear out my YouTube comments. I had to block the impersonator scammer. And it looks so similar, you know, it's my logo. Then it says at Mr. Growit dot, right? Or Mr. Growit 1, you know, so he's using my name as well. And so it can kind of appear legit. So just be careful out there. There's so many scams out there. We're never going to try to get money from you through WhatsApp or Cash App or Venmo or anything like that. So
we've got our own websites. So if you don't hear it from thestash.com, mrgrowit.com, thepigeonscoop.com, watchcltv.com, these are our our properties. It's not real. Because even Instagram can fool you. Like any of these things, email, any of these things, Discord, you got to be careful. So if you don't hear it directly from us on a video or on a live stream, there was no giveaway. You didn't win nothing, and we would never charge you for a giveaway. I paid a boatload of money to send a CLtv light out to Israel last year, so it cost more than the light. We don't do that, just so you know. So if you ever think about it, just know that we are not trying to scam, nor will we ever endorse anyone who is.
Nope. Idiom's got a good question from Twitch. Is VPD being on point more beneficial during lights on or lights off? In flower, because lights are off for the same amount of time they are on.
People aim for both.
Yep.
You know, people aim for both lights on and lights off to be within the VPD range. Now, again, your lights off, your temperature is going to go down with the lights off. And so your humidity should go down as well in order to stay in that green or dark green VPD range. So yeah, I monitor both for sure.
Yeah, I think that any dramatic fluctuation in between night and day is going to be harmful to your plant. Getting the most out of it is definitely going to be maintaining a similar distance between the two, between night and day. You don't want to have a dramatic swing either way. So if you're maintaining this particular temperature and humidity in the daytime, you want it to be a comparable ratio at night, ballpark. Especially looking at the VPD chart. If you can completely control it at night, do the best you can, but make sure it doesn't drop too hard.
Yep. Look at the chart. The chart's a cheat sheet, right? And I know Chris looks at a chart. He'll give it to you in a second. But this is why having an automated system, I know if you had asked me this 12, 15 months ago, I would never have said this, but this is why having an automated system is so beneficial, because especially in particular, the AC Infinity unit that works with the whole system, it'll dim your light, or when the lights turn off, it'll decrease the humidity. And when they come on, it can increase the humidity based on whatever you have it set for. So automation is king.
Yeah. And it's like, if you got automation, you're not going to have those dramatic swings. And I think that's the biggest thing you got to focus on is as long as your temperature and humidity is what it is in the daytime, it can't, even if you're focusing on just temperature and humidity and not even thinking about the measure between as VPD, you don't want it to have a dramatic up or down. So that's the best way to look at it, in my opinion.
I do have some examples here in case people are new to VPD. The chart that I use is Pulse VPD. Just Google that Pulse VPD chart. It should show up on a page. They have both it in Fahrenheit, and then they have separate charts for Celsius. So this is one of the most user-friendly ones. They have different charts, one for clone or seedling, then one for a veg, and then one for a flower. So throwing out an example here, if you're running 81 degrees in flowering. The dark green range is 58 down to 52% humidity, and that's 1.3 to 1.5 kPa. If your lights off temperature drops down to 70, okay, now the dark green range runs from 44 down to 34% humidity. So there's a big drop in humidity there if you want to stay in that dark green range for VPD during lights off. So just keep that in mind. I know some people will kind of neglect the lights off temperature, and unfortunately, especially with your lights being off, plants transpiring more, humidity spiking, you're a chance for bud rot and powdery mildew and mold, all that stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't neglect the lights off VPD.
Yeah, and that's where, like I said, the bro science thing is don't have the big swing. And this would be the fact that if you're following the VPD chart to the T, you're going to have a big swing. So at night, I think somebody in the chat was mentioning, Dr. Bruce Bugby was mentioning that it's not as important in the evening or when the lights are off, as long as you don't have that big swing. So just try to maintain control of your environment. And if you don't have control, check out AC Infinity. Discount code the Stash 15, baby. Message.
That's good. Chad Zinmo asks, hey guys, I have a question. I still haven't ran a lot of autos, and during veg, I've just been running them 24/7 with lights. Should I drop that down now that they are starting to flower? If I may, just to go ahead and start, I actually used to run a 24/7 light cycle myself, both with autos and with photos. And then I asked the only reason I actually ended up switching was because, well, someone in my comment asked, well, why are you just wasting energy? They'll grow the exact same on 18 and 6. I personally found, anecdotally, of course, that the growth between a plant that was grown on 18 and 6 versus a plant that was grown on 24/7 of light, there's no difference. There was no difference in growth pattern for me. So I just thought, well, why am I then wasting 6 hours of energy? Shut the light off for 6 hours, So that's what I ended up switching. To get your question more precise, though, you asked, it's moving fast. Should I drop that down now that I'm in flower? I would just say, yeah, just put it 18 and 6. If you're growing autos, there's no reason to put anything else other than 18 and 6 from bean to harvest.
Some
people like to do the 24/7, so there's a lot of debate with this, right? But one of the things with the 24/7, if you're running your lights on at all times, you don't have to deal with that swing in environment. It's just a little bit easier to keep your environment stable at that the entire time. So I thought that was pretty good call out. I know that Basement Autoflower, big shout out to Grower Joe, he mentioned that as one of the things. And I was like, good thinking. But yeah, there's obviously benefits to running your lights for less time, electricity consumption. And there's a lot of folks that have mentioned that the microbes, even going down to the microbe level, they need kind of that break. So having lights off, allowing the plant to push those sugars down in the root zone is beneficial for the microbes on that avenue. So I think there's pros and cons of both ways.
Yeah.
Good question.
I mean, when you got to look at also too, like the plant is only going to take up so much light. This is about like efficacy with using LEDs versus higher power lighting. I think the same thing, the amount of light given in a day, you're looking at your DLI as well. I see our boy Dave Hansen over here on Twitch is talking about that. There's a lot of science behind what the plant actually needs versus what we think it needs. And there's not really a major science that shows more light is going to be more beneficial. Sometimes it could be more harmful. So I think it depends on the situation, the cultivar. And then also too, like if the light is giving you heat in your space, and then when you shut off the light, it's dramatic difference in terms of your electrical output that you're going to have to use for heating it. Sometimes it's more advantageous just to keep the light on,
Yep.
Good one. What we got up next?
I got one. How did I put a massive stem through my butt? Looks like a bolt through Frankenstein's neck.
What?
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know how it happened. Like, it's massive, bro. I'm not going to put it on camera because this is going to make it to YouTube. But jeez, like rookie. Now I got to hold it from the tip like a weirdo.
Ugh, that's brutal.
Brutal.
I hate when that happens.
Do you see one, Chris? Because I got one right here.
Go for it.
your boyfriend the clap, or sorry, your best friend the clap asks, I just had beans. Sorry, good work there, Jesse. Appreciate you. Eaten by bulb mites. I think, or question, should I just get rid of the soil and start over? Question mark. I'm not familiar with bulb mites, but I'm assuming that they're probably similar to most. And if you haven't,
russets?
I honestly don't know, but I'm just gonna go ahead, Chris. He knows.
I'm saying that they're very common in living soil. I don't have too much knowledge about them either, but they can get out of control when you're in living soil. So yeah, I don't have any knowledge on how to kind of knock back that population.
My answer is yes. I don't know. Like you must be
yes.
Yeah, you start over. If you've got something out of control this early on, like again, this is coming from a guy that knows nothing about organics. So again, maybe this is a beneficial bug. Maybe this is anything, but it's like if this is eating your plant, I don't see anything beneficial about that. So I would think that there's something going on, and I would try to dial that system in. Again, like try to dial that, like figure out your infestation or your pest, get it under control, plant again.
Yeah, pests are a headache. Fighting pests is an uphill battle. If you can get your plant healthier and take a clone or a cut for a clone, that's probably going to be a faster recovery method than trying to heal up that particular cultivar. I've come to find that out myself. Like, I literally am better off to just try to get it healthy enough to take a cut and clean that as much as I can in the quarantine and restart. Just is not worth the battle. But that's myself. I've been growing for 16 years now. And it's to the point where I really am trying to grow for happiness because it's no longer a monetary gain. But it's like, if it's not going to help me out and I can't smoke sooner, then I'm getting rid of it. Well, it's a bummer, but sad truth, man. You got to call the herd.
Yep. Totally agree.
Pre-Grow asks, can you explain to everyone the benefits of having a controlled lung room? I think people realize the game changer there. Yeah, I mean, that's super important. I live in a very dry climate. You know, it's only 30. Actually, right now it's 25% humidity in this room. So if I wasn't controlling my lung room, the room that my grow tents are in, any intaking air, any air that's going to be intaken through the grow tents would be at 25% RH. Not good. So I increase the humidity in my lung room. That way, when my exhaust fan kicks on in my grow tents, air is coming in of the proper humidity and temperature as well. Sometimes in the winter time, it gets very cold, and I have to have space heaters in my lung room in order to try to increase the temperatures just in my lung room, so the air coming into the grow tent isn't too low. But yeah, if you can control your lung room temperature, humidity, and make sure that air is coming into your grow tents sufficiently, then it is a game changer.
We all went. I like that. Well, considering the fact that outdoor, so let's say it's winter season and everyone's like, oh, it grows way better when you're bringing cold air from outside into your room. You know, that works amazing. But when it's hot and you're bringing that humid, hot air into your grow, it's not as good. Well, if you can control the room if you can control nature outside, that would be amazing, right? But you can't. But you can control that lung room if you're using, another space to intake or, outtake, which isn't the word, but to exhaust your air. Exhaust your air. That's the one.
Gotcha. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you. It really boils down to controlling the environment to create your environment. And if you can't do that, then you're going to run into more issues in the tent itself or into your grow room itself. So you're better off to maintain your environment externally so you can have it better internally.
Yep. And since you pretty much just said everything I was going to say, just consider the lung room as your buffer. It's like if I'm going to make any changes, I much rather make the change to the buffer than the garden itself. And, Chris has it sometimes so cold that he has to add heaters in his lung room. It is so cold here all the time. And the reality is if I just have the tent in my lung room, it's blowing minus 30 because my lung room is a cold room. There's no heaters. It's just in the basement. I think in old times they used to put potatoes and maybe wine in there or something. I'm not sure. But that's where I use mine. So I have to keep it regulated. It's important. So it's a buffer, right? It's a buffer.
And sometimes it's real beneficial to have that cooler air in that lung room, specifically when you have a grow light that's going to heat up that grow space. then all of a sudden you're having to exhaust that air because it's just hot air. Well, bringing in cooler air, it's super beneficial. I mean, that's the only way you're going to really battle that issue. You know, if your lung room is 80 degrees and your grow tent's 80 degrees and your fan kicks on, it's just going to be on the entire time, you know?
Yeah.
So making sure that it's cooler than what is inside your grow tent for sure. Like I usually try to get my lung room around 70, 10 degrees lower than what I'm aiming for, you know, with lights on. So, and that works out good for me.
Yeah, and D Squad over here on Twitch, shout out D Squad, makes a very good point. Space wise, if you need heaters or coolers or humidifiers or dehumidifiers, you typically have more space for equipment in the lung room versus a tent. So that's a great observation, and usually more outlets and areas to work in that sense. So yeah, looking at like an extension of your space. And I think that's the beautiful part is you can have an extension of your grow that you can control to make it easier for your grow itself. Lung rooms are definitely important. And I like the term too. Shout out Wes Martin. I saw you, brother.
K-Pap clearly has a question for me, but I think I'll let the boys answer it here, but I'll ask it. Thoughts on carbon forward fruit ferments?
That's definitely a Pigeons question.
I enjoy mine with cheese at dinner. But no, to finish his question, it's recently tried some KNF my last run. Any interest from you boys to try it out? I think we've been talking about this more and more because this has been coming up last couple weeks. Chris?
You know who's been talking about it? Chris has.
Oh yeah, Chris, right.
Well, none of us have tried it yet, any of these natural farming methods. But this is something I'm interested in trying in the future is the ferments, fermented plant juice, fermented fruit juice. If I can find a way to not spend money on fertilizer, that would be amazing. So this year in particular, I am going to start playing around with ferments, but I have yet to do that.
Hell yeah.
What about you guys? Would you guys ever try any of those natural farming methods or what?
Nope.
Maybe if like someday I strike it rich and I get to buy a big plot of land somewhere and I can really actually no, that's a bullfish. No, probably
it'd be a good thing to know because honestly, to be able to utilize that for like end time type of things for growing crops in general would be amazing. And then again, like you know, it's sad to see there's a lot of grow stores that are closing down. I think a lot of that is because the education in old stuff, which is organic growing. A lot of people don't need to go rebuy a lot of these things, so the grow stores are shutting down. There's levels to this stuff, and it's getting to the point now where people are getting beyond just the simple, super soils and shout out Build a Soil, but like that's like your beginning hamburger helper style before you learn how to cook. And then when you learn how to cook, you buy the individual pieces from them. And then you go to the point where you're making the individual pieces and you have it in your backyard. That's the next level. And I'm not quite there. I'm still hamburger helper, you know?
Yep.
It's good though. Good hamburger helper is a banger. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I totally understand this, and I encourage people to explore it. Don't allow my ignorance or stupidity to slow anybody down from trying to explore. I appreciate people that are pushing the conversation around gardening always, and more importantly, like sustainable gardening. Tell me that this isn't a way that you're going to be able to use your waste, or at least your compost, or at least your waste. I think that's a great way to put it, to be able to help sustain this method of gardening. So I'm all for it. It's just, I'm dumb.
I'm right there with you, bro.
Sorry, man. Yeah.
And I feel like my biggest thing too is time is a massive, massive factor for me. I'm like always short on time, and I'm time broke. And so when I have something that's easier to put together and easier to get going for what I need, I usually go that route. Now, in this case, I wouldn't say set it and forget it, but it's a long-term process that you have to work towards versus just like, I'm going to just buy something ready to go. You know, there's a big difference there.
Got a question from Therapy Grow Show. He says AC Infinity is coming out with a light ramp feature mimicking sunrise sunset. Do you believe this feature is beneficial? So I'm going to go with I'm going to take this one. I'll go with Dr. Bruce Bugby. He had actually talked about this in one of his many videos. But they've done a study on this. They measure the rate of photosynthesis. They're able to actually do that. There's a system they're able to do that. And they found that, I believe that they found no difference or actually it was more beneficial to just pump the lights on at full power they're seeing that rate of photosynthesis better than the ramp up, the sunrise feature, for example. So yeah, he recommended just having your grow lights come on and not really using that sunrise or sunset feature.
So that is bro science.
But
so, and that's where it sounds better to be like, hey,
great,
man, natural like the sun
for marketing.
And well, I mean, this goes back to want to mimic nature, right? You always want to do what nature, you know, you always want to follow nature. And do you? Because there's some things that we probably don't want to follow. That being one of them. You know, if there's studies out there saying that it's beneficial to have your lights come on at full power, we don't want to mimic any rain that we don't want, any crazy wind that we don't want. You know, it would be good to increase the CO2 levels instead of so the whole mimicking nature thing. I mean, we have a whole episode on that. Dig back on that one. We kind of go off a little bit on that one. It's funny. It's funny, but I get it. Some of the things we want to mimic with nature, like the spectrum of the sun, for example.
Well, that's the thing. It sounds good in theory because you're like, well, look how big my plants get versus here. You know, it's like, again, the limitations of the light penetration with artificial lighting versus the sun. That's one big factor. And then, of course, every environment's different when you're dealing with something like Humboldt County versus Muskegon County. Two big differences. You know what I'm saying? Come out here and try to get down like the Mendo boys. I don't think so, unless you're vegging inside all year. You know, it's kind of one of them things. But there's definitely a fine line between trying to emulate it and trying to work with nature. Emulating nature isn't always as ideal in the indoor garden, but, you know, if Dr. Bruce says it, that's facts. I don't even question it. He's got no reason to. It's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's selling a nutrient line or extra lights.
When you've got papers and science articles, research, peers that have reviewed this to back it up. You know what I mean? There's a difference between science and bro science.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, bro science and bro science.
So yeah, and Duck Lord on Twitch here. I think we kind of just answered that. If I may, I think. But you know, consistency is good. You know, although when the lights go out, your temperature is going to drop. That's okay, but consistency is good, and you want to meet the specific stages of growth, right? More humidity in the early stages, less humidity in the late stages. You know, that's one of those things that nature might not be able to emulate for you as well.
Well, when the lights are going off too, like we said earlier, you may have missed it. Just not a dramatic swing in either area of temperature or humidity. You know what I'm saying? Especially for the babies. Especially, they're not going to bounce back nearly as easily as a resilient, full-grown plant. Just as what it is.
Yeah. What other questions do we have?
Was there ones from YouTube channel or from the comment sections on YouTube? Do you guys have any more questions in the chat? There
was one that I saw and I spaced out on it completely. But you know what? That just means the herb is working, man. You know? I feel like you got like the Rasta shirt. I love it. Like straight up like hippie.
This is welcome to the Grow Tent. So big shout out to him. Yeah,
he sent me tell me he made the tie. Did he make the tie? We got to figure that out. Did he make the tie-dye?
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he did make the tie-dye.
That is cool. I didn't even realize that. True.
Someone asked if we were traveling to Michigan. Or sorry, not Michigan.
Vegas.
No, shoot. Missouri this year.
That too.
No. We've got a couple tour dates, if you will.
Missouri
for the rest of the year.
Missouri
wasn't one of them. I have no idea. I do know that we were going to we're heading up Michigan at some point, maybe doing Canada, and then we'll be back in Vegas, I think, for November-ish, December. I noticed they keep pushing MJ BizCon back later and later and later into the year.
Well,
it's even later this year.
Come out there again sooner, depending. May have some other things to do, but
maybe.
We'll see. For me, it sucks because I complain about my 3.5 hours, but they do him dirty.
I leave real dirty. I left at 10:30 in the morning, and I got home at 4 in the morning.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
that's absolutely horrible.
Yeah. TwitchCon. No, we're not going to. We don't have a death wish. Jesus. Just kidding.
Bizarro, do you think Schwazing will produce big buds, or is this an Instagram myth? We do this at the Commercial Grow.
Swazing. What is that?
Basically stripping these ladies down at week 3, full defull, like taking like almost all the fan leaves off. It's crazy looking, but I wouldn't say it makes our buds bigger, but it's significantly easier to trim. The buds look just as good as they would at a home grow. I mean, if you check out any of the live streams we've done from CLtv, we're actually going to be live tomorrow from the grow as well again, so you guys can see we just yesterday did some of this, funny enough, literally just yesterday. So we'll show you the room and how weird it looks, but then we'll show you the flowering room that's finishing, and you'll see the finished product and how great it looks then. So there may be some science to it. I don't know. Total bro science here. But we do a lot of stuff from the caregiver days at the commercial grow, and slowly but surely we're transitioning into more science, which is very beneficial. This one, I'm not 100%, man. I'm really not 100%. So we'll see. But I noticed that it's beneficial in terms of finishing your plant, because you don't have those giant fan leaves to trim when you've got, 125 pounds to trim.
I've always been someone that's been against it myself, because when I just apply bro science, which has never done me wrong, leaves are are solar panels, right?
Satellites.
I love that. That they use their leaves to take in the sun, convert it to energy, so on and so forth. It's that wonderful process of photosynthesis that we all love and know so much about. But here's the thing: but almost all the time, these plants that I see that have been stripped naked from Go are beautiful. They look gorgeous. There does not look like they are lacking in any way, shape, or form. They're frosty. They're typically well trained. They look beautiful, And so it just seems wrong to me to abuse them that much, But is there a difference? Does it do anything? I don't know if it's beneficial, Does it take anything away? Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Christopher? Neckit?
Sure. Yeah. I don't think there's any studies on it. So, it's just kind of anecdotal at this point.
So I'm looking up a little bit of science right here. So I'm not seeing an actual test that's been done, but essentially they're helping more as defense mechanisms for the plant, can cause stronger flowering. They can survive by making themselves undesirable to perceived attackers and increase air exposure.
By stripping them naked?
Yeah. And so this is
that's why we
anecdotal
lollipop and stuff.
Yeah. And so this is where I think this is only something if you're cram packing a bunch in one space. You know what I'm saying? If you've got them just jammed in a row where you're putting hundreds of plants in one spot, I could see maybe doing that.
Yeah,
but
you'd be able to see through them, you'd walk through and you'd be able to see from one side to the other, which might help, So yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question. Honestly, all of your questions have been fantastic. And if we didn't get to your question, you can always ask questions below in either the comment section below here, or you can come check us out live on Twitch, because that's where we are right now, recording this episode in front of a live digital audience, twitch.tv/FromTheStash. We're live every single week. Come check us out Thursdays, 1 Central, 2 Eastern, and 11 Pacific. Come ask anything, come join the conversation, and be a part of what goes on around here. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that happen here that don't happen on YouTube, or rather should I say over there on Twitch, that happens over here on they don't like it over here. So come join it, all the fun, and a wicked smoke session after the live epi. So guys, was there any questions that stood out to you that were just ones?
I've got a question.
Uh-oh.
Should we smoke about it?
I think we should smoke about it
on Twitch.
Talk about it on Twitch. Yeah,
thank you guys so much for watching, man. That was awesome. We're gonna go smoke about it on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching. On behalf of myself, Mr. Growit, RLB CLtv, and the best one of all, Wink, running the P's and Q's. That's another epi. See you guys.
Peace.
Peace.